Hi everyone, welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. This is Melanie. I'm in the craft room and I'm doing another experiment. This time I'm going to be playing with the spackling paste that I got from Walmart in the home maintenance section, and we're going to try and see if we can make this work similar to embossing paste. So I'm using the stencil that I also bought at Walmart, this Waverly laser stencil. So we're just going to lay this on the craft sheet. Now I think what I want to do is I want to just put a little bit of adhesive down on the paper so that it will stick. And we're not going to do the whole image, but I thought maybe we could do a partial. So just like that. And we'll use the packaging as a mask. Okay. Just like so. So let's open this tub up. Hopefully there's not a trick. Okay, and I've got just a putty knife or a palette knife, and we're just going to whip this up a little bit. Okay, let's see what we can do. So I suspect that the same thing will apply to this as with embossing paste, in that you want to get this underwater as soon as possible so that it doesn't dry on your stencil. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, and I think we should be able to scrape this. Put this back in. It's a little grittier, I think. Well, I know it's grittier than embossing paste, but Tim Holtz actually makes a grit paste that's probably very similar. So far so good. I'm not sure if it's going to dry white or not, or if it'll end up being a little more clear. I suspect it will be white, but we'll find out. In the meantime, I also wanted to see if we are able to dye it using ink. So let me just wipe that up. We're going to do this on white cardstock. Let's adhere that down. I got paint on it. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I do mixed media stuff, I always end up covered. And it drives me crazy, and I think I cleaned it all up and then it still manages to sneak in. Okay, so I will be right back. I'm just going to grab an ink pad. Okay, so we're going to try this raspberry ripple, and we'll see how well this works. So we're just going to add some of that there, and we'll just take, oh, how much? Maybe that much? That's probably more than enough. And we'll just see if we can mix this up. Oh, I probably have way too much here. Again, I would think it would take the color, because if you think about it, you would paint over top of it, right? So you would want to, you would think that it would absorb the ink, okay, because if it does paint. Now, it is a very opaque, right? So, so the color you're going to get is much softer than the original color, which is why I chose the really dark color to start off with. Okay, I'm getting it a little bit darker. Yeah, and I suspect it will dry pretty quick. I mean, it says on here that it is fast drying, 30-minute paint ready, so that'll be good. Okay, so let's see. I like that color. Let's run that through the stencil. It's a pretty vintagey pink. Now, of course, I made extras, so I'm not going to be able to put this back in the container, but let's see how this looks. Looks pretty good so far. I'm pretty impressed. Let me grab another sheet of cardstock. Chose an off-white this time. Okay, use up more of this, might as well, right? We're going to make everything messy, we might as well. We might as well use it. Well, I'll just have to be careful not to get any. Yeah, it's already feeling a little drier than it was when I initially threw this down. So it is very fast drying. But it looks like I'm getting some good crisp lines as a result. So we'll let this dry and I'll come back and we'll see if we get any cracking or if it cracks when we bend the paper, and see how it goes. Okay, I will be right back. Okay, seeing as I had everything out anyways, I thought I would do a comparison with the actual Tim Holtz grit paste. So let's give this a try. So it is definitely creamier, I guess, but the texture is not that dissimilar than what we were just using. I think it's a little more opaque than the other stuff. We'll tell. Tried to get the same colored cardstock so that when we do the comparison, it'll be obvious, or less obvious which is which. Okay. Pull that up. Yeah, it's definitely more opaque. Okay, so let's see what it does with dyeing it with the raspberry ripple. I'll try not to put so much out there this time. Maybe that should be plenty, I think. And I've got white. Mix this up. Yeah, the texture is different, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's like terribly so. Do a little bit more. I'm running out of space. Okay. See if we can get one more out of this on the cream. There's this little piece here that feels like it's gotten bent. Let's see, doing that helps. I don't know if I should have enough. It seems to be drying up at about the same amount of time as the other stuff. Like, it feels like this is already starting to dry too. You can see when I'm scraping it, it's starting to just have a drier texture. Okay, so we will put this aside and check back in a little bit. Okay, so it's been about a half hour since I did the grit paste with Tim Holtz, and I think they're pretty much, well, not quite dried to the touch, but just about there. So I just wanted to do a quick comparison to wrap them up. So the ones on the left is the Spackling, and the ones on the right are the Tim Holtz grit paste. And as I indicated earlier, definitely the opacity is different. This is way whiter than this, but you know what? I still think it looks really pretty. Because of the opacity of the white, you needed more ink to make the color darker on the Tim Holtz side, so that's why this one is darker, because I think I used about the same amount of ink, maybe even a little more on this one. The texture, I don't know if you can see this. The grit paste definitely has way more of a grittier texture to it than the Spackling. The Spackling is actually fairly smooth. So not that it's wrong or bad, it's just I thought it would be grittier because of the type of product that it is. Here it is on cream. Okay, so now let's do the bendy test and see if this cracks or breaks. And this doesn't seem to be peeling up or anything. This is definitely dry, like this is not soft or wet or anything, and it's holding up really well. It's not cracking or peeling off. So I would say this is a win. So if you're looking to get into the world of embossing paste and maybe for a slightly less expensive alternative, I would give this a try. Anyways, thank you very much for joining me. Leave a comment below if you've tried something similar or if you have any other budget tips out there that we might want to test drive. And until next time, happy crafting.